Hey, what's up? It's your boy Michael Godchild of Godchild Sound Studios, and today I just want to take you on a tour of my studio here at Godchild Sound and let you all know some of the gear that I work with, how do I get the sound that I get, and just let you peer into my world for a little bit. For years, I've been watching guys give studio stores tours, not stores, studio tours, especially those that have the home set up. I think most of us nowadays we start out in our homes, and that's a dope thing to do. You know, it's good that you can start out in your home, but my particular studio is not in my home. My particular studio is away from the house, and it's a very small, intimate studio for that artists who want to come in and record their project with no nonsense, just get down to the production and the recording and the mixing and the mastering. I offer all of those services at Godchild Sound Studios. You can look me up on Instagram by the same name, Godchild Sound Studio. And yeah, man, I just want to give you all a little tour of what I work with. One of the main pieces that I use in the studio is the SSL Nucleus. I love the SSL Nucleus. It was the nucleus of my studio for a little while, for about two, maybe 2.5 years. It was the nucleus of my studio. In other words, it was the brain of the studio, the heart of the studio, if you will. And so I like the nucleus. When I look at where control surfaces are going today, I still feel like the nucleus is one of the best, if not the best, control surfaces out there, especially for the amount of money that you pay for it. It's not expensive at all. Um, I love it for production. I love it for setting up a mix, and definitely for recording because the preamps are stellar. I love the preamps on it, and I love the headphone outputs. How clear and clean everything sounds on the SSL Nucleus is bomb. So I really like that. So that's one of the things. And my SSL Nucleus is going into my MacBook Pro. That I do enjoy my MacBook Pro. That's one of my computers here in the studio. Have a total number of 3 computers, all Macs, of course, squad. And so anyway, yeah, so the MacBook Pro is what I connect my Nucleus to. When I want to do some quick recording or pre-production, I start in this particular section of the studio. And now I record, believe it or not, I record into an SM7, the Shure SM7 that I'm using right now. I record vocals into it. I like the way it sounds. I've had more expensive microphones. I've had the Neumann 103, but I actually like the SM7 better. I like the sound better. So I record my vocals through the SM7. If it was good enough for Michael Jackson, it's good enough for me. I record in an Isovox booth for vocals. Sometimes I record right in the room because my room has been treated. So a person, if they don't want to go into the Isovox or whatever, they can record right in the room. All of my equipment is extremely quiet, so it does not bleed into the recordings at all. The room is set up for that. There's acoustic panels on the wall, and there's acoustic treatment, so it's set up for that. So that's that section. You have the SM7 microphone, you have the Nucleus, you have the MacBook Pro. That's that section of my studio so far. But it gets a little deeper. I don't know if you can see behind me, I have the Nord keyboard workstation for keys. I play all my keys on this, and yes, I do produce as well. So if you are a producer and you want that live piano sound, this is the keyboard to go with, the Nord keyboard. Awesome keyboard, especially in the gospel world today. It is the keyboard in that gospel genre. Another keyboard I use, a little MIDI keyboard, is a Alesis QX61, and I'm looking like it is nothing, but actually that keyboard has gotten me through. It's gotten me through, and I've done a lot of production with that particular keyboard. So I really appreciate that keyboard. Um, and so, what else? I also have an electric drum set in here. It's a crazy in this little small space. I have some of everything. So I got this electric drum set, as you can see. Um, I love it. I'm not a drummer per se, but I do some drumming on it. I do some. I get my drummer boy on with it. But yeah, that's the drum set. But I also have a live set. I have a live set for that real intricate live sound. It's fully mic'd going into my board that I'll get into last, the board that I'm actually using. Um, but yeah, I have a live drum set. So if you are a drummer and you want to come in and record yourself laying down some drum tracks, come on at Godchild Sound Studios. But anyway, also now when the studio began to progress, when it progressed, and I think that it sets the studio apart from um, intermediate level studio and really solidifies it as a studio, and that's my SSL AWS analog mixer, analog workstation, the AWS 900, the first edition. I love it. It's fully functional. It was a board that I wanted for years. I wanted it for years, and God finally blessed me with it this year. And so here is the SSL AWS analog workstation. I love it because it has everything that I need. You know, I've heard many people debate on the analog and the digital um, argument of what's necessary. I think that that is a very subjective argument. It's based on what you feel like you need and what you like to work with. I've been working with digital most of my mixing career. Over 15 years I've been working with digital. So I cannot knock digital. It sounds great. The plugins and all that kind of stuff sounds great. But I wanted to experience working in the analog field, especially, and I forgot to mention this particular particular piece of gear. When I got the Dangerous D box, I have this over here. I wanted, I wanted to go full analog. I really did. I like the sound. I did hear a difference. Some people say they don't hear a difference. I heard a difference, and so I recently purchased the SSL not Big Six, the SSL 6. And when I heard it and mixed the song on it, I was like, man, I love the analog sound. I love the thickness of the sound. I love the punch of the sound. And so I was hooked on analog from then. And I'm not saying that you can't get the same sound with digital. You can, but it just takes more, in my opinion. It takes more to get that sound. Saturation plugins and compression and different things to try to produce that sound. Wherein the analog somewhat just has it. And so I dig that analog sound. I ain't gonna much front. And so I got the SSL AWS after the 6. The 6 was broken. I bought it used, and it broke down on me within about a month and a half of having it. That's why I only mixed like one song on it. But I got this SSL AWS, and I just love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I've had it for about maybe 2.5 months, and I love it. I love it. I love it. With it, I have my patch bay. Um, I have a few patch bays actually. Switchcraft or Switchercraft, and I first started using the board without the patch bay because I did not know how to set up the patch bay. But once I learned the patch bay and understood it and reconnected it to the board, I don't see how I live without it. So yeah, got the patch bay. After that, on top of the patch bay, I'm using the UAD Quad Apollo. I've had that. Actually, the Apollo, the UAD Apollo, was the center of the studio before the Nucleus or anything. It was the Apollo. I've had the Apollo now. Mm, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years, maybe. And man, it's still as valuable to me as it was the first day I got it. Because the Apollo and UAD, they make very durable, um, long-lasting products, and so yeah, I still use the Apollo. Definitely use their plugins. Um, every now and then, I may route it where I can record right back through it. But now my recording is essentially going through the SSL AWS. Um, as interface, I needed an interface that had enough routing, enough inputs and outputs. So my interface is the Quantum 4848 Presonus. Thank you. Thank you. In shopping for interfaces, I kept finding that there was either not enough I/O or it was extremely expensive. It was extremely expensive. And I know UAD has um, interfaces where I think they have 16 inputs and outputs, and you have to combine it to actually run through the board. But they're expensive. They're extremely expensive, and they're more expensive than the Quantum. Not trying to throw you under the bus, UAD, but come on now. Um, they're more expensive than the Quantum, and so when I ran upon the Quantum, and I bought the Quantum before I got the board. The board was on its way, but I wanted to have the Quantum here when it got here. And when I ran up on the Quantum for the price, couldn't beat it. Jumped on that price. Um, it integrates with the board seamlessly, and I love that choice. I wouldn't go another direction. I love that choice. The Quantum is the answer. Um, and so all of that is going into a Mac Mini computer, which is a pretty decent computer. Um, and that's my studio. If I left something out, forgive me. Um, yeah, my Yamaha HS5s, my Sterlings. I don't even know what the size of those are, to be honest with you. I just got them. And so yeah, that's my studio, man. Um, Shout out to Wavy Wayne. He does the studio tours on his Instagram page. Check him out. Shout out to Help Me Devon. Devon, these guys are guys that I look up to. They're very knowledgeable. You can learn a lot from them, so look them up. Um, but yeah, hopefully I'll become a new kid on the block, and showing you some of my mixing tricks, because I do all right with mixing. I want you all to see, what the lick read when it comes down to my mixing. Um, but yeah, that's your boy Michael Godchild, and this is my studio. Y'all stay up. Look at my, 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 look at my God. Look at my girl, look at her smile, look at the way that she driving me wild. I gotta stay fresh cause she loving my style. I carry her heart and she carry my child. Falling in love with the way that we move.